Hi and welcome to my predictions video for the 2024 Grand Slams. I will be making my predictions for each Grand Slam champion on both the men and women's side. And since we have the Olympics this year, I will throw in predictions for that as well. The predictions were made the first week of January, so there have already been some action on both tours as well as the United Cup. I will go through each slam one by one, and then have a recap at the end, so if you can't be bothered to watch the whole thing, there is a timestamp in the description. The boring stuff out of the way, let's jump into the predictions. The Australian Open. On the men's side, I'm predicting that the Australian Open champion is Novak Djokovic. This is Novak's slam. He has won it 10 times and I'm expecting that in a few weeks' time he will have an 11th trophy and a total of 25 Grand Slams to his name. He hasn't been too impressive in United Cup and Davis Cup, but that was completely different circumstances and three-set tennis. Novak deserves to be the clear favorite in Australia, and that is why he gets my pick. On the women's side, my prediction for the Australian Open champion is Iga Swiatek. Iga had a really strong end to the 2023 season. We're taking the number 1 spot at the WTA Finals. Iga has been impressive at the United Cup and has made some changes to her play style to improve on her game, and that is a scary thought. I see a closer on the women's side. Much harder to call here, but based on Iga's form, I'm going with her. Now let's move over to Rolland Garros, the French Open. On the men's side, I'm predicting that the French Open champion is Rafael Nadal. I'm all in. I've seen enough to be convinced he is back. Not in the shape of his life, but good enough to be serious contender on clay. And in my opinion, you almost have to choose Nadal to be the favorite at Rolland Garros if he is in the draw. Sure, a 100% Djokovic can beat a non-100% Nadal at Rolland Garros, but I see other players being able to beat Djokovic, but not anyone other than Djokovic beating Nadal. I think Nadal will take his final slam this year. And where else than in Paris? On the women's side, my prediction for the French Open champion is Iga Swiatek. This was the easiest choice of all the slams. If Iga is ahead of the field on hard courts, she is almost in another country when it comes to clay. As long as she stays healthy, I don't see anyone even taking a set away from her at Rolland Garros. So that is 2-4-2 to start the year for Iga. That was quickly done on the women's side. Next up is Wimbledon. On the men's side, I'm predicting that the Wimbledon champion will be Novak Djokovic. Novak is still the best player on grass on the ATP Tour. He might have lost to Alcaraz last year, but that ain't happening twice. He will make sure of that. And I don't really see anyone else being a threat for Novak on grass. Only thing I might see is that Djokovic can get distracted or slightly lose focus, as the Olympic Games will be right round the corner after Wimbledon, and that has to be one of his main targets this year. On the women's side, my prediction for Wimbledon is Aryna Sabalenka. No calendar slam for Swiatek this year. Sabalenka made the semis last year, and I think the title fight will be between Sabalenka and Rybakina, but I just have a gut feeling that Sabalenka will take it. Some might think Jabeur, but I don't think she will make the final 3 years. And I foresee a difficult season for her, unfortunately, but Sabalenka is my pick. This was not clear at all, but her game works on grass. She had a good run last year, and I don't believe Swiatek is ready yet to conquer grass. That brings us to the final slam of the year, the US Open. On the men's side, I'm predicting that the US Open champion will be Jannik Sinner. Yes, someone under 35 will take a Grand Slam in 2024. And I think it will be Jannik Sinner. He had such a strong end to 2023, and I believe Novak will be out of steam by the time of the US Open, and the US Open will be up for grabs. It could be Alcaraz, Medvedev, or even Rune or Zverev as well, but I have a feeling Sinner will come out on top. A lot of people are expecting Sinner to continue where he left off in 2023. But I think it will take to the US Open for him to reach his first final. For the final slam of the year for the women, I've predicted that the champion will be Elena Rybakina. Rybakina will take the US Open, and will get her first Grand Slam title since Wimbledon 2 years ago. Unfortunately, she got injured and dealt with sickness during the clay season last year, so she couldn't compete to 100% the second half of the season. I'm expecting her to be relevant at all slams, and to go all the way in New York. This was the hardest one to predict, as I see there are at least 4 players that are in the mix for the title, but Rybakina gets my vote, as I think she can deal with the pressure the best. Swiatek openly don't like the atmosphere. Coco Gauff will need to defend her title, and Sabalenka couldn't cope with the pressure last year. That was all the slams, but as a bonus, I'm also predicting the Olympics. For the men's Olympic champion in 2024, I've gone for Carlos Alcaraz. I haven't forgotten about Carlos. I think the Olympics being such a rare achievement for players, it will add so much extra pressure to older players. With this I mean Djokovic. This is possibly his last chance to win gold, and he has been so close so many times. I think he will have a hard time keeping it together all the way to the final. Back to Carlos though. He is great on clay and the best player on tour together with Novak at the moment. I think the 3-set tennis of the Olympics will be beneficial for him compared to the French Open. On the women's side, I've gone for Coco Gauff. This is not based on much other than vibes, but there is some reasoning to why I put her in front of others. Coco Gauff has reached the final at the French Open before, and had some good results on clay, so she can handle her own on the surface. She has won a Grand Slam, so she can win big. Sabalenka and Rybakina are not as strong on clay as on faster courts. Iga Swiatek would be the more clear choice, but I think she might get caught in the moment. Plus, the Olympics is played in the heat of Central Europe summer, so the conditions are quite different to what they are in May when the French Open is played. So I'll go with Gauff. And a little extra note that if it is not Gauff that wins it, it will be someone a bit more off radar, like Bencic in the last Olympics. So there we have it, all slam winners plus the Olympics. I will put the names in the screen now. Remember that this is just my opinion. I've tried to come at it with some reasoning and not only based on vibes and favoritism, but watch as all of them go wrong. Anyway, let's have a look back on this after each slam. I intend to do a review of each of the slams in 2024 and intend to include a segment where we go back to these predictions and see how I did. Thanks a lot for watching. The Australian Open is only like a week away, so let's have a banging tennis year 2024. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more tennis news, previews and predictions, and I'll see you in the next video.